Greetings. Things and Times stay with you. We want to go to Africa in a big way and we want to examine ourselves as African brothers and sisters in the diaspora working or trying to work for the betterment of ourselves and our people, and I stress our people on the continent. We have to recognize who we are and the importance of affiliation, the importance of what we call support, and the sensibility towards what I am calling support. Because some of us do speak, or the most of us in general terms, but we don't know how to, or it would appear we just don't put the words, the positive words that we use into practice or into fruition or even attempt to work with other people to bring about solutions or development. So most of us in the diaspora, we do have theory, but we don't have the application. That's how we're actually being taught in academia. And we do feel feeling when we pass the examinations. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what do we do? And then we need to ask ourselves a serious question as well. How connected are we as a people in the diaspora, African peoples, the captured peoples, true to slavery? What do we do? What have we done for Africa, for ourselves viewing Africa? And we will see that we are a problem. We will see that. We will recognize that. And we have to apologize to our families. And our families, we all have to apologize, you know, and make amends. Because if we have children, we have to raise, we have to make our children recognize Africa and recognize the role that Africa needs them to play. We have to do that. Not we are Europeans. We follow their narratives. We have mentally integrated. And it's difficult not to be integrated or assimilated. It's difficult because when did we, many of us, did we start learning or viewing Africa in any which positive manner? Which history? And how many names besides South Africa and apartheid can anybody say that they recognize? Some people don't even know who Kwame Nkrumah is or was, you know? So we got a lot of work to do. but we need first to pledge our allegiance with the continent. Let's go.
The story of Burkina Faso is not just a tale of a single country, but a profound narrative of resistance, hope, and radical transformation. Nestled in the heart of West Africa, this landlocked nation has long been a symbol of struggle, a place often overlooked, perpetually caught in the crosshairs of external powers and internal conflicts. But in recent years, something extraordinary has begun to unfold. A revolution that challenges decades of colonial legacy and dependency. To understand the significance of Burkina Faso's current transformation, one must first comprehend the depth of its historical challenges. For generations, the country had been trapped in a cycle of economic and political subjugation. Colonial powers had not just occupied the land, but had systematically dismantled traditional structures, leaving behind a framework of dependency that persisted long after independence. The nation's name itself tells a story. Burkina Faso means land of incorruptible people in local languages, a powerful statement of identity that would prove prophetic in the coming years. Yet for decades, this promise of integrity seemed distant, with successive governments more interested in maintaining relationships with former colonial powers than serving their own people. Extremist violence had become a defining challenge. Large swaths of the country's territory were beyond government control, with millions displaced and communities torn apart. The French military presence, ostensibly there to provide security, had become a source of increasing frustration. Instead of bringing peace, foreign troops seemed to perpetuate a cycle of conflict and dependency. Everything changed with the arrival of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. At just 37 years old, he represented a radical departure from previous leadership. Unlike his predecessors who had grown comfortable with foreign patronage, Traoré came from the front lines. He had served in the most dangerous northern regions, witnessing firsthand the systemic failures that had kept his country trapped in a state of perpetual vulnerability. His approach was nothing short of revolutionary. In September 2022, Traoré led a decisive takeover that would reshape the nation's trajectory. By February 2023, he had made his most bold move yet, asking French troops to leave Burkina Faso. This was more than a political gesture. It was a profound declaration of sovereignty that would send shockwaves across the African continent. Removing foreign troops was just the beginning of a comprehensive strategy of economic and military self-sufficiency. The government began developing its first homegrown defense industry, a concept many had considered impossible. Instead of begging for weapons from external powers, Burkina Faso would design and manufacture its own military equipment. The economic strategy was equally innovative. The country's gold resources, which had long been extracted by foreign companies with minimal local benefit, were now being strategically leveraged. In late 2023, a groundbreaking decision was made to establish the country's first gold refinery. This wasn't just about processing minerals, it was about keeping the wealth within the nation's borders. Simultaneously, Traoré launched an ambitious agricultural initiative. The Presidential Initiative for Food Self-Sufficiency aimed to transform the country's agricultural potential. In just 1 year, they harvested around 6 million tons of cereal, creating a pathway to food security and economic independence. The leadership's approach was markedly different from previous regimes. Traoré continued to draw the same salary he earned as a captain, rejecting the lavish lifestyles of many African political leaders. A national solidarity fund was established, powered by voluntary donations, to support displaced families and build community resilience. This wasn't just about Burkina Faso. The country began forming new alliances, particularly with Mali and Niger, creating a regional partnership focused on African-led solutions. Instead of turning to traditional Western powers, they explored relationships with countries like Russia, Iran, and Venezuela. Nations willing to engage without the historical baggage of colonialism. Perhaps most revolutionary was the Volunteer Defense Program, VDP. Thousands of ordinary citizens were trained and armed to protect their own communities. This was protection defined by Burkinabés. For Burkinabés, a stark contrast to the previous model of foreign intervention. The educational system was also being reimagined. Universities and schools began focusing on preparing a new generation of thinkers and builders, emphasizing science, engineering, and technology. The goal was no longer just to learn, but to lead and innovate. Traore's vision resonated deeply with the Pan-African dreams of leaders like Thomas Sankara. His approach wasn't just about political independence, but about reclaiming dignity, culture, and the right to self-determination. When he appeared at Ghana's presidential inauguration in January 2025, dressed in military fatigues with a pistol at his side, he was more than a leader. He was a symbol of a continent refusing to be dictated to. The international response was mixed. France's President Macron complained about a lack of gratitude, while the United States began making veiled threats about potential aid cuts. But the mood had changed. African nations were no longer intimidated. As one young man in Ouagadougou put it, "Yes, we're struggling, but at least it's our struggle." Similar movements began spreading. In Mali, Colonel Assimi Goïta expelled French troops. Niger's General Abdourahmane Chiani took control of the country's uranium industry and removed American military presence. Even Côte d'Ivoire, long considered a close French ally, began distancing itself from foreign military involvement. The transformation wasn't just about removing foreign troops or establishing a defense industry. It was a holistic reimagining of national potential. Resources like gold, oil, and minerals, previously shipped away, leaving nothing but broken infrastructure, were now being viewed as tools for national development. The vision was to use these resources to build schools, hospitals, and infrastructure that directly benefited local communities. Traore's most powerful statement came during a speech where he declared the need to decolonize our minds. It was a call that went beyond physical independence, challenging the psychological remnants of colonial thinking that had kept many African nations in a state of perpetual dependency. The story of Burkina Faso is still unfolding. Challenges remain, extremist threats haven't disappeared, and the path to complete self-sufficiency is long and complex. But something fundamental has changed. A nation once seen as perpetually vulnerable is now showing the world a different narrative of African potential. This isn't just Burkina Faso's story. It's a blueprint for a new kind of national sovereignty, one built on self-respect, innovation, and an unwavering belief in the power of local solutions.
L'union n'est pas juste un mot.
The union is not just a word, the union is a symbol.
Et nous jeunes devrions apprendre
And we young people should learn from this situation
pour faire de l'intégration une réalité.
to unite us to make integration a reality.
Désagréablement surpris lorsque l'Éthiopie, qui abrite donc
I was unpleasantly surprised when Ethiopia, which is the seat of the African Union,
et quand j'ai vu le Premier ministre se mettre en treillis,
experienced a conflict, and when the Prime Minister announced to close the university in Addis Ababa to face the threat,
l'action de l'Union africaine.
I did not see the action of the African Union to protect this seat.
Occidentaux pour la plupart voyaient Addis
Western
Ababa.
states, for the most part, saw Addis Ababa fall, fold their backpacks, and leave.
L'Éthiopie s'est battue, a trouvé une
Ethiopia fought, found an internal solution, and lives more or less in peace today.
Les enfants du Congo meurent.
The children of Congo have been dying for years.
Plusieurs autres conflits, tels au Soudan.
Several other conflicts, such as in Sudan, exist on the continent.
Nous aurions aimé voir l'Union africaine générer.
We would have liked to see the African Union generate the strength and all the strategies necessary to support its states so that they can find peace.
Nous ne viendrons même pas parler de nous ici au Sahel.
We will not even talk about us here in the Sahel.
Depuis près de 10 ans,
For nearly 10 years, the Sahel has been the scene of international terrorism.
mais nous ne voyons aucun soutien.
But we see no support from these organizations to find a solution to this problem.
Pire, il y a quelques jours de cela, un pays
Worse, a few
étranger
days ago, a foreign country in Africa openly announced that it had supported and participated in a cowardly, terrorist, and barbaric attack against the forces of our confederation.
L'Union africaine n'a pipé aucun mot pour condamner.
The African Union did not say a word to condemn this interference. The African Union did not say a word to condemn this interference of a foreign state in Africa in the internal affairs of our states. I would like them to hear this shout and get out of their silence and take action so that the youth can believe in the African Union. We must unite. The only way to unite is to talk to each other, to understand each other, and to be able to establish the basis of this unity. Young people, let me tell you that to unite, there are three words, three big screws that we must ban from our behavior and our lives. I am talking about cowardice, treachery, and incompetence. We must ban these three words from our way of life. I am going to explain why. Cowardice covers many screws. A coward is always afraid. And when we are afraid, we become slaves. We bend. We lick our boots. Our ancestors were not cowardly. And if we are cowardly, our children will ask us questions. Imagine that in Burkina Faso we refuse to fight and we accept to submit, to live in slavery. Tomorrow our children will grow up and they will ask themselves questions. Have our parents been cowardly to leave us in slavery? Whether we are alive or dead, we will feel it. Cowardice is afraid, and the imperialists have understood that they are trying to scare the leaders so that they become cowards. Because when you are a coward, all the other screws can be born. We do everything so that we are afraid. They come to our palaces. They threaten us directly or with veiled threats. Of course, we respond as it is necessary. They try to make us understand. They take examples every time. They tell us, you know, Thomas Sankara tried to do this, but he is dead. President Haitian tried to do this, but he is dead. Gaddafi tried to do this, but he is dead. These are words that we take in a veiled way to scare us. And we often see some young people trying to take our path in a different way. We can hear them say, such and such person ruled like this, he is in his country. Such and such person ruled like this, he is in prison. All this to try to scare us so that we become cowards. But I think they didn't understand one thing. When we say country or death, we win. It's not just a sentence. It's not just a sentence. It all makes sense. We are not afraid and we will never be afraid.
Ils ont fait peur sûrement à beaucoup de chefs d'État africains.
They probably scared a lot of African heads of state. They probably scared a lot of African heads of state.
Lorsqu'on a l'occasion d'être dans certaines situations à l'extérieur.
You see, often when we express ourselves or when we have the opportunity to be in certain situations abroad,
Prendre soin de notre jeunesse pour pouvoir amorcer notre
we often say something to call on African heads of state to wake up and take care of our youth so that we can start our real development. So that we can start our real development.
Publiquement à nos propos.
We are often misunderstood. Some have publicly opposed us. Some have publicly opposed us because they feel indexed. But I can assure you, youth, that when we find ourselves in the corridors,
Ces mêmes chefs d'État nous disent vous êtes sur la bonne voie, c'est ce qu'il faut faire pour que l'Afrique.
these same heads of state tell us that we are on the right track and that this is what needs to be done so that Africa can rise again.
Nous leur posons des questions à savoir pourquoi vous ne
So we ask them questions like, why don't you do like us? Why don't you support us?
Certains nous disent qu'ils ne peuvent pas. Chers aînés,
Some tell us that they have the means, and some tell us that they can't.
Je souhaiterais dire que les peuples africains sont les peuples les plus pacifiques.
Dear elders, African heads of state, at the end of this podium, I would like to say that African peoples are the most peaceful, that African peoples are the most peaceful. When you recognize a wrong, you have to tell the people. When you recognize a wrong, you have to tell the people. We are not afraid to come out and tell the people we are sorry. We have been compromised. We have been mistreated. We have been compromised by several things, and we ask for forgiveness, and we come back on the right path and to start working really for the independence of our states and our emancipation.
Nous serons lâches.
And I think it is possible. If we remain in this posture of fear, we will be cowardly and history will judge us.
Nous sommes en train d'écrire l'histoire.
Our children will ask questions. Our grandchildren will ask
Si nos
questions.
ancêtres avaient été lâches, nous ne serions pas là.
We are writing history. There is no place for cowardice. If our ancestors had been cowardly, we would not be here. Do you remember? I will give you an example of the people of Bamileke and Bassa. I want to talk about the Cameroonians, the union of the population of Cameroon, which since the 1950s has started a relentless fight against the Poles, but they have been massacred. The French colonial armies, in turn, have dispatched infantry battalions, tanks, helicopters, have annihilated anti-village. The most inhuman tortures have taken place during this period. You can do research on what they call the cart or the Bakasima.
Des centaines de milliers de populations ont été
Hundreds of thousands of people have been decimated in Africa
osé demander aux colons de quitter leur terre.
because they dared to ask their settlers to leave their land.
Il y a une guerre civile qui a duré plusieurs années.
A civil war that lasted several years.
Des gens ont osé, ont affronté à main nue.
That is to say that people dared to face the imperialists with their bare hands so that we could be here.
Que nous ne puissions pas affronter les impérialistes pour que nous.
There is no reason why we cannot face the imperialists so that our future generations can live.
Il y a beaucoup d'exemples à travers l'Afrique. d'hommes
There are many examples throughout Africa of brave men who refused to be cowardly, who fought, who faced.
Soyons dignes de ces gens. Nous sommes leurs descendants.
Well, let us be worthy of these people. We are their descendants, and let us be worthy of them.
Ne soyons pas lâches.
A coward cannot be worthy.
Parce qu'un lâche,
Let us not be cowards, young Africans, because a coward is always a traitor.
ils nous feront, ils
And it goes hand in hand.
essaieront de nous faire
They will try to frighten us so that we become cowards.
Et si nous sommes lâches, nous allons trahir.
And if we are cowards, we will betray. We must ban the treachery of our habits.
Des Africains ont été traîtres pour que la traite négrière.
Africans have been traitors so that the slave trade succeeds in Africa. It is because Africans have been traitors that colonization has been able to sustain in Africa. Let us question history.
Lumumba.
We will see.
Lumumba a été trahi.
Lumumba, Patrice Lumumba, was betrayed because he dared to hold his
Les
head.
télévisions belges sont venus au Congo pour quelques billets tendus à des.
And these same beautiful televisions came to the Congo for a few bids extended to individuals in the Congo for an interview to please their population. And you were able to follow that.
Il est mort, on est content.
Lumumba bothered us. He is dead. We are happy. It is treachery.
Beaucoup d'autres héros sont tombés pour que nous nous.
Many other heroes have fallen so that we are here today.
Technique de l'impérialisme, de faire peur aux autres.
And it is a technique of imperialism to frighten others by taking action to really create terror.
Je vous prendrai l'exemple.
It has not started today. I will give you the example of a warrior who fought, Victor Biakaboda.
Lisez, vous comprendrez. Il est issu d'une famille de chefs. pas de la chefie.
Read it and you will understand.
Il était un enfant.
He came from a family of chiefs.
Il a fait ses études au Sénégal, je crois.
No chiefdom given by the colonizer. He was a worthy child. He studied in Senegal, I believe. He became a doctor in Guinea.
Pour mener le combat contre les impérialistes.
And when the RDA was created, he went to the Ivory Coast region to fight against imperialists, against invaders, against the colonizer.
Partout, les gens ont commencé à porter la voix.
He tried to organize the Ivorian society.
Qui a fait massacrer les populations.
Everywhere, people began to speak up. There was a general in his time, Pichu, who massacred the Ivorian population so that this spirit of freedom could never germinate.
Aux côtés de Félix Houphouët-Boigny.
He continued his fight alongside FEORCUC Lix Houphouët-Boigny. They fought, but the most violent was Victor Biakaboda. He represented a threat to the imperialists. What did he do?
En plus de massacrer les populations qui manifestaient,
In addition to massacring the people who demonstrated,
ils l'ont tué de manière atroce à côté de Boisflé.
one night they killed him in an atrocious way next to Boaflon.
Lorsque les populations de Dimbokro ont entendu l'assassinat, ils
A
ont
few hours later, when the people of Dimbakro heard the murder, they marched, they demonstrated.
l'histoire est têtue, les faits sont là.
They were massacred by the colonial army. History was killed. The facts are there. After his death, which scared FOC Lix Houphouët-Boigny, they called him and told him, if you continue the fight, you will meet the same fate.
Et il s'est rallié à l'impérialisme. Il a été nommé.
He was afraid and he joined imperialism. He was appointed minister in France and later he came to take the reins of the Ivorian Accord. They used him to eliminate many other people who dared to raise their voices.
Je pense que Thomas Sankara est un bel exemple.
I think Thomas Sankara is a good example.
Si vous avez peur,
If you are afraid, you will be cowardly and you will be a traitor.
n'ayez jamais peur.
Never be afraid.
La lutte.
The fight must continue.
Il y a beaucoup d'autres exemples à travers le
There are many other examples around the world.
Il y a ce phénomène qu'ils ont aussi utilisé depuis.
And there is this phenomenon that they have also used for a long time and that they continue to use.
Certains individus, par exemple, se sont retrouvés dans d'autres pays.
You see, some individuals, for example, have found themselves in other countries
Au gouvernement du Mali. Vous avez entendu cette histoire
and created a so-called parallel government to the Malian government.
qui a existé dans le temps. Je vais vous prendre l'exemple.
You have heard this story. It is a technique that has existed for a long time.
Ce professeur de mathématiques qui a
I will give you the example of Ahmed Chalabi,
a été recruté
Iraq. This math teacher, who was even in the Iraqi government, was recaptured by the imperialists, and he formed this semblance of parallel government in Iraq, in the United States.
Pour être donc le mouton de sacrifice. Parce que c'est à lui
And he was used to be the sheep of
prononcer
sacrifice,
publiquement que Saddam Hussein développait des armes de destruction massive.
because it was to him that it was said that Saddam Hussein was developing weapons of mass destruction,
Et cet alibi
and
a
he
été
did it.
utilisé pour tuer des millions d'enfants en Irak et détruire l'Irak.
They used him. And this Talibi was used to kill millions of children in Iraq
Un soir,
and destroy Iraq.
après une interview. Dans l'interview, il disait même que il sait que la...
And do you know what was the fate of Chalabi?
Quelques heures après, il a été retrouvé mort dans son lit, mort de...
One evening after an interview, he said that he knew that the CIA was on his back.
Si vous trahissez, vous aurez des fins macabres.
A few hours later, he was found dead in his bed, dead of a heart attack. If you betray, you will have macabre endings. That's how it is. Imperialism has no friends. Imperialism uses you.
Et quand il finit de vous utiliser, il fait
And when
que
it
vous
finishes
devez-
using you, it does what it wants with you.
Vous comprenez
Follow my gaze.
de quoi
You
je
understand what I'm talking about. It has always been like this.
parle. Le troisième vice,
The third vice that I invite you to leave is incompetence.
c'est l'incompétence. Ah, je reviens encore au mot d'islameur qui a marché sur...
I'm coming back to the word of the Islamist who walked on my tongue. Incompetence.
L'incompétence est un phénomène très dangereux.
You understand what I'm talking about. Incompetence is a very dangerous phenomenon that they use to destroy African society.
Reconnaissons-le. Les incompétents ont beaucoup
In our administrations, there is a lot of incompetence. Let's recognize it. Incompetents have a lot of space next to imperialism.
Les incompétents peuvent
Because incompetence can take over the development of a country. Incompetence can lead you to doubt yourself.
Les incompétents aiment tout pour eux seuls.
Incompetents love ease. Incompetents love everything for themselves. Incompetents don't like those who are competent.
Ceux qui cherchent. Les incompétents
They don't like those who innovate, those who seek. Incompetents are
Lorsque
dangerous.
vous êtes éclairé, l'incompétent ne vous aime pas.
When you are enlightened, incompetents don't like
L'incompétent ne
you.
vous aime pas.
When you want to innovate, incompetents don't like you.
L'incompétent sait reconnaître celui qui est compétent et il va le
Incompetents only recognize those who are competent, and they will fight him until his last breath,
chercher
because
la
he is afraid of
connaissance.
those who are competent. Seek knowledge. Seek knowledge and work. Work hard to be competent. Ban incompetence.
Parce que à travers les distractions
Because through distractions that we want to make us adopt,
adoptées, on devient incompétent.
we become incompetent.
Les réseaux sociaux sont les
I'll give you an example. Social networks are the places where information is published today.
s'informent à travers Internet et beaucoup de choses. Un jeune qui
People are informed through the
les
internet.
réseaux sociaux, un article sur sa ferme,
A young man who publishes an article on his farm or an agricultural project or a scientific project may not have 1,000 views.
il n'aura pas peut-être 1000 vues.
But a young man who publishes on futility has millions of views.
Ce que moi j'appelle du n'importe quoi.
As the young slammer said, we want to waste your time on futility.
Justement, comme disait
Be
le
aware.
slammer,
Let's
on peut
focus
faire
on
perdre
work
du temps
and
dans
seek
la
knowledge.
futilité.
Let's seek
Prenez
competence.
conscience. Intéressons-nous au travail.
It's good to be distracted, but we must work first before being distracted. Seek knowledge, otherwise you'll waste your time doing nothing.
Avant de se distraire. Cherchez la connaissance, sinon vous perdrez du temps à ne rien faire. Et la jeunesse,
Youth is the time when you must use your time wisely.
il faut exploiter son temps à bon escient. Les impérialistes le savent.
The imperialists know this.
Ils vont multiplier tout ce qui est événement de distraction. Ils vont multiplier tout ce qui est
That's why they multiply all events of distraction.
travail pour que vous soyez des incompétents.
They multiply all events that can distract you from work so that you become incompetent. When you fall asleep, you choose the incompetent to lead the important structures. You have no choice but to fold. Let's not be incompetent. Let's seek knowledge.
Les incompétents se cachent souvent derrière des mots.
Incompetents often hide behind words. They use the terms democracy and freedom without realizing what they mean.
Camarades, la démocratie est un état
Democracy is a state of mind as much as youth is a state of mind.
Ces soi-disant démocrates,
Whether you're a Democrat or not,
comment est-ce qu'on peut
how can you impose democracy by killing millions of people?
C'est de la dictature, ça, ce n'est pas de la démocratie. Ça ne
It's a
s'impose pas.
dictatorship, not democracy. You can't impose it.
Ceux-là qui se disent démocrates, mais regardez, nous avons
Those who
vu
call
des
themselves
scènes
Democrats
où on a
have seen scenes where people were prevented from joining
des
assemblies.
scènes où des forces ont débarqué dans des assemblées pour obliger.
We've seen scenes where forces landed in assemblies to force deputies to take texts.
Plus terrible que ça.
We've seen more terrible scenes where people kill their demonstrators. But they call themselves Democrats, and we're called Perseus.
Si c'est ça la démocratie, je répète.
If that's democracy, I repeat, we don't want this democracy.
Et quand vous voyez souvent les incompétents,
And when you see
ils ne
incompetence,
cherchent pas à savoir quelle est la signification.
they don't seek to know what the real meaning of the word democracy is.
À la définition qu'il lui a donnée l'impérialisme, et il se met.
They cling to the definition given to them by imperialism and start talking about democracy without really knowing the basics. That's incompetence.
Regardez le monde pour redéfinir la démocratie.
You have to know, look at the world to redefine democracy as we want it in Africa.
Les incompétents, c'est
Collective.
avec des règles, la liberté est collective. Parce que si vous ne respectez pas les règles,
Because if you don't respect the rules, you can't live in society.
si vous êtes libre de parler comme
If you're free to speak as you please, the other is free to answer as he
de vous
pleases.
répondre comme il veut,
That would be disorder.
ça sera du désordre. Si vous êtes libre de
If you're
rouler dans
free to
la rue,
walk
de
the
passer
streets
le
and
feu
pass
rouge,
traffic lights as you
l'autre est
please,
libre de passer aussi et de vous cogner.
the other is free to pass by and
Vous
hit you.
comprenez que si
You understand that if individual freedom takes over, we are in a society of disorder.
voilà pourquoi il y a des règles dans la société.
That's why there are rules in society,
Et là, on parle de liberté collective.
and everyone has to respect the
Donc,
rules.
certains se donnent le droit de parler de leur liberté individuelle.
That's why we're talking about collective freedom. Some people have the right to speak about their individual freedom, but they don't care about others. I think that's also part of incompetence,
Ils s'arrogent les droits que peut-être les États les ont donnés.
because they don't try to understand. They make up the rights given by the states to serve and do everything for themselves, neglecting the freedom of others.
On pense à la liberté d'autrui.
No, freedom is collective. Before we act, we think about the freedom of others, and we shouldn't transcend the freedom of others. So we need to have a reserve. And once we have a reserve, individual freedom doesn't exist. Freedom is collective, and we need to have this culture of collective freedom.
Cherchons donc la connaissance, lisons.
So let's seek knowledge, let's read, let's interrogate history. Don't read the history they wrote in their favor.
Cherchez la connaissance à travers plusieurs sources et vous comprendrez
Seek knowledge through several sources, and you will understand in history who fought for Africa, how we must fight to continue this struggle of our ancestors.
et je ne terminerai pas mes propos sans faire
And I won't finish my words without making a statement about communication.
parce que comme je le dis, c'est l'arme fatale de l'impérialisme. Et vous jeunes,
Because as I said, it's the fatal weapon of
pour
imperialism.
savoir distinguer le vrai du faux.
And you young people, you must do everything to distinguish the true from the false. We will continue to dismantle the lies of imperialist media that always try to create problems in Africa.
Par leur bouche, ils peuvent vous rendre un roi demain.
Because these media, through their mouths, can make you a king tomorrow.
Et vous rendre
Through their mouths, they can make you leave your position as king and make you a poor slave tomorrow. Pay attention.
Je suivais une émission, malheureusement, il n'y a pas longtemps, burkinabé, où un jeune
I was
journaliste
following a program, unfortunately not long ago, in Burkina Faso, where a young journalist released a sentence that left me a little perplexed.
Il meurt de faim en Corée du Nord. A-t-il pris le soin d'aller en Corée du Nord enquêter pour voir vraiment s'il meurt de faim?
He was talking about North Korea, and the journalist said, "But he is starving in North Korea."
Développé que beaucoup de pays européens. Et parce que ces
Has he
médias
taken care of going to North Korea to investigate to see if he is really starving?
les gens meurent de faim,
Since imperialist media have sold North Korea is more developed than many European
comment
countries.
est-ce qu'ils ont fait?
And because these media tell us that North Korea is a dictatorship, people are starving, they are poor, they have nothing, we take it here.
Ces médias menteurs qui ne cherchent qu'à diviser l'Afrique.
But North Korea is a nuclear power. How did they do it? Let's pay attention to communication. We must not blindly follow these lying media that only try to divide Africa.
Du Burkina, jeunesse d'Afrique. Il faut
It is logical. They fight for the interests of their people. And the interest of their people is that Africa is divided.
Il faut bannir l'incompétence. Il faut
So,
bannir la
young people of Burkina Faso, young people of Africa, we must unite. We must ban cowardice. We must ban incompetence.
On rend grâce à Dieu de ces
We must ban treachery and all the risks in our society.
conscientiser et je vous invite à repartir encore lire.
We have the opportunity to speak. We thank God for these opportunities that we have each time to speak,
Soit une réalité. Pour que l'Afrique que nous voulons pour
to raise awareness. And I invite you to spread the word, to get to work so that the Africa that we want, self-sufficient in terms of food, is a reality.
Les deux vont de pair. S'il n'y a pas de développement,
so that the Africa that we want for harmonious development is a reality.
Va forcément se retrouver dans les vices. Et il n'y aura pas de sécurité.
Let me finish because I return to your theme. There is no peace and security without development. The two go hand in hand. If there is no development, there is no security. Because if there is no development, the youth will inevitably find themselves in the vice and there will be no security. If there is no security, there is no development. So the two must go hand in hand. Let's integrate this in our fights so that we can fight and develop. Let's go towards production. Let's produce enough. Let's transform our raw materials so that they are beneficial for our populations and in terms of exportation. I wish you a very good day of reflection on the chosen theme and also on the essential role of youth in this fight. Good luck to all. May God make sure that all those who have made the trip return home in good health and that we can meet again when we wish it by the grace of God.
Cause you're a God and up the fight, my brothers. Keep up the fight, my sisters. Keep up the fight, my brothers. Keep up the fight, my sisters. Africa must be free before 1983. Africa must be free before 1983. How long will the wicked reign? Only Jah knows. How long will the wicked tell lies? Only Jah knows. Liberation, Africa is calling. Liberation, the people are crying. Liberation, Africa is calling.
Yeah, it's true to nothing but the truth. Yeah. Oh. Run, run, run. Revolution a come. Run, run, run. Revolution a come. Some of them want socialism, some of them want capitalism, some of them want communism. They all want all kind of ism. Run, run, run. Revolution a come. Run, run, run. Revolution a come. The press must free, so we all can see your wrongdoings and your brutality. Run, run, run. Revolution will come. Justice, human rights stands for all. If we fight Babylon, kingdom will fall. Run, 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 revolution will come. Run, 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 revolution will come. It'll come, yeah. It's coming on the way, it's coming every day, it's getting nearer and nearer. We've got to run.
I think it's important for us to understand where this entire war came from. It did not come from Bashar al-Assad. It came from Washington. There was a decision in 2011 to overthrow Assad. Actually, that came from Jerusalem. This has been a desire of the Israeli government that stretches back more than 25 years. Netanyahu's idea is make the Middle East in Israel's image, overthrow every government that opposes Israel. He's had a friend in that, and that is the CIA and the United States government. So this war in Syria did not come from Assad's repression. It did not come from Assad's dictatorship. This war came from a presidential order by Obama to overthrow Assad, starting in the spring of 2011. We have a name for this program. It was Operation Timber Sycamore. The United States, together with other countries in this region, trained fighters, especially jihadists, including the ones that just took power, to overthrow the regime. This created chaos. 600,000 dead in Syria in a war that has gone on for 14 years. The outcome of this war is what the CIA wanted back in 2011, which is that a jihad group would take power in Syria after being armed by the United States. The reason I want to be clear about this is that we will not have peace in this region until we have public diplomacy that is based on real diplomacy, not on CIA operations. And we will not have peace until Israel stops its militarization of the entire Middle East. Because the Syrian war is just one of 6 wars that Israel has promoted, including in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Somalia, and Sudan. We had the list, actually, from Wesley Clark back in 2001, when he was handed a paper in the Pentagon that the goal was 7 wars in 5 years. The only war that hasn't taken place yet, to Netanyahu's great consternation, is the US war with Iran, which Israel is still trying to instigate to this very day. So the Syrian war is part of a regional tragedy. We have tragedy in Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Sudan, South Sudan, and Libya that I put at the hands of the United States government and its ally Israel, because none of these wars had to happen. These were all wars of choice. They were all wars that came from the idea of regime change operations, that the United States would determine which regimes operate in which countries. We'll never.
Something serious has just unfolded in Burkina Faso. It didn't make the front pages. It didn't trend, but it could rewrite the country's future. The government gathered, decisions were made, and now the state is moving in ways few saw coming. What did they plan behind closed doors? Why are these decisions so important? And what does it mean for the country and the continent? Let's find out. Burkina Faso's government just made a series of bold, coordinated decisions that could redefine its future. In a single council meeting, the country addressed education, security, justice, and economic reform without foreign aid. What happened wasn't routine policy. It was the quiet launch of a national transformation with continental implications. The council didn't emerge with fanfare, but what it left behind was a series of decisions that read less like routine governance and more like a strategic reset. Not reactionary, not symbolic. These were operational shifts, the kind that tell you a country is not only paying attention to its problems, but is finally choosing to solve them. Each file approved that day carries the weight of a government trying to re-establish its physical and psychological footprint, not by force, but by building. And where better to start than in the very places that feel most forgotten? It begins with the land. In the northern zone of Burkina Faso, particularly in the Sahel region, there are patches of land that haven't seen development in decades, not because they're unfit, but because they've been wrapped in bureaucratic confusion, tangled property disputes, and above all, the chilling reach of armed groups. This time, the state didn't negotiate with hesitation. It issued a decree classifying a 100-hectare zone in Dori as an area of urgent public utility. That single phrase flipped the equation. It unlocked the legal framework to move forward with something that had been delayed for years: the construction of a training and research unit in science and technology and an accompanying university residence. This wasn't about building walls and classrooms. This was about planting permanence in a region where presence often disappears. a place once described by silence is about to echo with the sounds of lectures, lab equipment, and students finding their future. And once you've established the presence of minds, what naturally follows is the presence of law. When conflict intensifies, courts tend to be the first to close. Judges withdraw. Cases freeze. The very idea of legal protection collapses. That's what happened across parts of Burkina Faso. But now, a decision has been made to reverse that spiral. The government has approved not just the return of judicial personnel, but a material reinforcement of the justice system itself. That means restoring the High Court, rehabilitating the Nuna prison, planning and studying the feasibility of new courts in Bogandé and Tougan. In these regions, courtrooms are more than legal infrastructure. They're an antidote to fear. People don't just want safety. They want a system they can rely on when things go wrong. They want rules they believe in, not just rifles they duck from. It's one thing to have a police force. It's another thing entirely to have a working justice system that holds power accountable and gives citizens a path back to dignity. But speaking of the police, they weren't left out either. Burkina Faso's internal security challenges aren't abstract. They're daily, real, and at times overwhelming. But instead of announcing flashy troop surges or temporary deployments, the government took a more deliberate approach by rethinking who gets to protect the country. A fresh wave of police recruitment was authorized. But this isn't your standard expansion. This time, the recruitment categories were tailored, targeted, and symbolic. They include commissioned officers, technicians, specialized skill holders, women, individuals connected to past national sacrifice, like families of fallen fighters and former volunteer defenders. The message here is subtle but firm. Security isn't just a job for the traditional few. It's a shared responsibility, one that needs diverse hands, real representation, and repaired trust between the state and the people. You don't rebuild public confidence with uniforms alone. You rebuild it by who wears them. Not all progress is visible from the outside. Some of it takes place in paperwork, in decrees that never make headlines. One such move involved lifting a quiet, powerful monopoly that had gone unchallenged for too long: the exclusive control over infrastructure quality testing. For years, one state lab held the final word on public construction standards. But now, the council has opened that space. No more sole authority, no more unchecked influence. The field is being widened to welcome competition, efficiency, and better outcomes. It may seem like a technical shift, but in reality, it's a deep political statement. The state is ready to disperse control and demand results, not rituals. And then came a decision that connects economy to identity: the formal recognition and empowerment of the Faso Abattoir Agency as a public economic establishment. Livestock has always been a backbone of Burkina Faso's rural life. But for too long, the processing and profits were handled far from the hands that raised the animals. This decree changes that. It gives the agency legal authority to act independently, tools to scale meat production and export, and the platform to support domestic food sovereignty. It's no longer just about feeding the nation. It's about ensuring the nation controls its food supply chain, from herders to markets. Each of these decisions isn't just a policy update. They're chess moves on a complex board, pieces repositioned not for immediate praise, but for long-term control of the narrative, of the economy, and of the people's faith in their state. But if this is what was done, the question becomes, why now? Why this timing, this urgency, this fire? That's what we'll uncover next. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video, and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. You don't rewire a country on a whim. Not when the stakes are this high. Not when every district carries the memory of instability, and every institution carries the burden of being late. The decisions taken by Burkina Faso's government didn't come out of comfort. They came out of necessity, but not just the survivalist kind. This wasn't about patching holes in a sinking ship. This was about steering it somewhere it's never dared to go before. To understand why these specific changes were made now, you have to look at three pressure points converging all at once: territorial fragility, ideological urgency, and a rising demand for national authorship. Burkina Faso remains in a state of siege in several northern and eastern regions. Towns aren't just threatened, they're contested, depopulated, or fully overtaken. Whole communities have been displaced. Institutions have vanished from the map. In some places, the state is an echo, a rumor people hope is still true. But the Traoré government understands something critical. You can't reclaim a country with silence. That's why every recent decision targets visibility and presence. Not just military presence, state presence. A courtroom is not just a legal space. It's proof that the state still exists in that region. A school doesn't just educate, it anchors families. A meat processing facility doesn't just serve the economy, it pulls people back into legitimate state-backed networks. The urgency behind these reforms lies in the geography of conflict. When insurgents destroy police stations, the state doesn't just respond with arms, it responds by putting something else in their place. Something heavier than bullets, a future. There's another layer behind the timing, political consolidation. Ibrahim Traoré didn't come to power through a quiet election. His rise was forged in upheaval, riding on a wave of frustration with indecision, delay, and dependency. With that rise came expectation, the kind that doesn't wait years for slow reforms. The pressure to deliver something real, fast, and irreversible is immense. You see it in the way the government bypasses old bottlenecks. Declaring land of urgent public utility? That's not just about land, it's about cutting through red tape. Lifting state monopolies in public works? That's a move to shake loose a bureaucracy that chokes progress. In every move, you can see the government making this calculation. Either we act boldly now, or our credibility dies quietly later. There's no middle ground, and they know it. Burkina Faso has always had brilliant people. But for decades, the country has been forced to borrow direction from donors, foreign advisors, structural adjustment programs, and peacekeeping missions that often kept the peace for everyone except actual Burkinabe. What's different now is that the state is writing its storyline. When the government chooses to fund judicial renovations without asking for foreign aid, it's not just a budgeting choice, it's a symbolic declaration of authorship. When it integrates former volunteers and the families of the fallen into national police recruitment, it isn't just about filling quotas, it's an act of moral restitution to those who stepped in when the state was absent. Even the decision to strengthen domestic meat processing reflects a desire to reclaim local value, to stop exporting raw products and importing foreign solutions, to keep what belongs to Burkina Faso inside Burkina Faso. These choices are fueled by a broader vision, a post-colonial state that no longer leans, it stands. There's also the matter of continental perception. Across Africa, people are watching Burkina Faso more closely than ever, not just because of the political transitions, but because of how confidently the leadership is rejecting old systems. Whether it's distancing from Western funding mechanisms, withdrawing from ECOWAS alongside Mali and Niger, or openly challenging the utility of international organizations, Burkina Faso is projecting a very clear posture. We decide for ourselves now. But gestures are empty without substance. That's why this April reform package matters. It puts real infrastructure, policy, and legal muscle behind the country's ideological position. It says, we don't just criticize global power structures, we're building alternatives to them. There's also a quieter truth that can't be ignored. Burkina Faso doesn't have the luxury of time. Every delay is a win for insurgents. Every bureaucratic jam is a propaganda victory for those who argue the state can't deliver. That's why the government isn't waiting for perfection. It's launching what it has, refining as it goes, and choosing presence over paralysis. No policy can be judged solely by its paperwork. But one thing is clear. These decisions weren't made casually. They were born of pressure, of urgency, of a leadership that knows it's being watched by its citizens, its critics, and a continent craving boldness. These reforms are a bet that swift state building can outpace state collapse. That visibility can outrun violence. That control can return, not through occupation, but through service. And now that these choices are in motion, the next question becomes, what will they change? Because decisions are one thing, impact is another. Decisions are the beginning, but real power lies in the aftermath, in the visible and invisible ways those decisions ripple through a country's daily life. For Burkina Faso, the reforms passed on April 16th are not just instructions from the top. They are a blueprint that will quietly reconstruct the relationship between the state and its citizens, one region, one sector, one institution at a time. Because after years of trauma, skepticism, and betrayal, what people are really waiting for isn't announcements, it's evidence. And the evidence this time may finally be coming. Let's begin where the state's collapse was most visible, the peripheral zones, especially in the north and east. For years, these regions have been gripped by fear and left out of development plans. Residents have lived with the belief that they've been forgotten, sacrificed to geography and geopolitics. But the reforms passed are visibly and physically returning the state to these front lines. The construction of academic institutions in regions like Dori isn't just about science degrees. It's about the psychology of presence. Concrete buildings say something that no press conference ever can. We're here again. We're not leaving. And that sense of renewed presence changes everything. People who had begun to think only of fleeing to Uwaga, to Ghana, to anywhere safer, may begin to think about staying. About planting crops, sending their children to school, opening a small shop, and returning home. When the state shows up, people start to believe that life can resume. Conflict doesn't just destroy buildings, it destroys possibilities. It erases futures. And for many young Burkinabe, especially in rural and war-affected areas, the only visible futures were exile, armed groups, or economic hopelessness. That changes when young people see new routes to dignity. A young mechanic in Kaya who thought the only path forward was migration might now hear of a police recruitment drive specifically seeking technical roles. A widow in Fata Ngorma who lost her husband to conflict might now know there's a quota for families of the fallen, and a real reason to walk back into state service. These aren't symbolic gestures, they're functional bridges, taking people out of limbo and bringing them back into national purpose. Where there was isolation, there is now inclusion. And where there was grief, there may now be recognition. After years of institutional failure, trust doesn't return overnight. But it does start to rebuild when people interact with things that work. If a court opens in a place that hasn't seen a judge in 4 years, people don't need a campaign to tell them the system is back. They see a case filed, a land dispute settled, a conflict avoided. And it sticks. If a university campus in the Sahel region opens on time, with actual teachers and functioning facilities, parents don't need a state lecture about reform. They just watch their children walk into classrooms instead of into exile. That's the real currency of change in Burkina Faso right now. Visible, provable service delivery. Every functioning courtroom, each new campus wall, every fair recruitment notice, they all say one thing louder than any speech. The state is real again. One of the most understated impacts of these decisions lies in how they chip away at institutional monopolies that have held the country hostage. When the construction regulation sector was controlled by a single public lab, that exclusivity bred not just inefficiency, but quiet gatekeeping, the kind that inflated costs, slowed progress, and stifled innovation. Lifting that control opens the door for faster projects, cleaner audits, and private-public partnerships that don't have to navigate bureaucratic black holes. That reform alone could change the entire tempo of national development. Roads get built faster. Bridges get inspected by multiple eyes. Corruption has fewer corners to hide in. And over time, people begin to notice. When roads last longer, when buildings stop collapsing, when contracts become competitive, faith in systems returns. Burkina Faso has long held a paradox. Rich in resources, poor in control. Especially in agriculture and livestock, production has often been disconnected from profit. Farmers and herders produced value, but rarely captured it. By restructuring the Faso Abattoirs Agency, the government is signaling something deeper than just an upgrade in meat processing. It's declaring that value chains must serve the country before they serve exports. That is what Burkinabe hands raise and slaughter. Burkinabe institutions must own and distribute. This isn't just economic logic, it's emotional. It tells rural communities, especially those dependent on cattle rearing, that they're no longer just a raw material source for others. They're part of a national economic loop that finally includes them. And when you give people a stake in the system, you give them a reason to defend it. The changes triggered by these reforms will not be immediate, but their signals are already loud. They whisper something powerful in markets, in mosques, in bus stations, in villages. The state is trying again, not performing, not preaching, trying. And that subtle shift in public perception, from total cynicism to cautious hope, is one of the most dangerous things for any insurgency and the most valuable for any government. Because once people believe the state is worth relying on, it eventually becomes something else entirely, a state worth fighting for. And that's where Burkina Faso now stands, not just on the edge of reform, but on the cusp of something far more profound: redefinition. Do you think anything can stop Burkina Faso from changing? Is the change real this time? Let us know in the comment section. Are you ready for a new Burkina Faso? Do you want to watch more videos like this one?
So long, yeah. We've been down in captivity much too long. We've been down in humility and oh so long. So rise and shine and win your liberations. For now's the time when all nations must be free. So rise and shine, restore your strength and power. Waste no more time. Remember your history.
Yes, greetings again. That is the problem. Because we will restore ourselves. Them can't kill all of us. You see what I say? Them can't. When I say that, them can't kill some of us, but them can't kill all of us. So we will restore ourselves by the grace of God. I tell you. And one thing that is significant, you will hear it right now. So after this, me gone, you know. You understand? Share it with other people. Sit down and listen it and see how I've actually tried to compile it, compose it. You understand? Yeah, man. Share it with others. Make it a talking point. It's all about a lesson learned. Okay.
When one door closes, does it mean all opportunities are done? When one door closes, most of the time we tend to think that it's over. There's no other opportunity. Things are not going to change. We sometimes feel very sad at a closed door. We wish we could go back and fix things, maybe. We ask ourselves multiple questions, saying, what could I have done to make this different? What could I have done to make this a different situation? You know, we tend to blame ourselves very often when the door closes, feeling very sad, very sorry for ourselves sometimes, regretting and thinking, reminiscing about what could have been done differently. But sometimes we forget that when the door closes, it certainly means another one is somewhere else. Maybe if you walk down the corridor with a big heart of faith, you probably find another door open. And maybe you should have stopped banging on the door that's been closed for a long time. Very interestingly, fellas, we know the story of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. These are three countries that have been put to the side by other African nations. Yes, other African nations have decided to put them to the side, meaning not communicate with them because they're not singing the same song, because they're not dancing on the same foot with them. Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali have decided to take direction of the country, to take leadership, to regain their freedom by giving back the power to the people and not working forever for the colonizers. Now, let me just tell you a quick story. When Mali started his revolution, when Malians stood up against French nationals, French soldiers in their country, when they kicked them out, they were faced with a very strong reaction from other African nations. Yes, other African nations closed their doors to Mali. As you can see on the map, Mali is a country that is in the heart of Africa. It's in the continent. They have no ports, meaning for a country like that, in order to get substantial help or get cooperation, importation, exportation, they need to cooperate with the country that is a port. And for cooperation to happen, you have to be in good terms with whoever you want to cooperate with. So a country such as Mali, Burkina Faso, or Niger, these countries need other African countries to access the sea so they can sell our product, so they can import product in the country for the people. Now imagine everybody stand against you. All the people that are at the port of Africa are against you. They don't want you to import. What's going to happen to your people? Starvation and many other difficulties. This is exactly the case of what's happening with these three countries that are fighting very hard for a true freedom. However, like I said earlier, when the door closes, it doesn't necessarily mean there's no other opportunity. Yes, it has happened. The King of Morocco, yes, the King of Morocco has set down a proposal asking these countries to come toward him, meaning to work and cooperate together so he can give them access to the sea. Congratulations. And this again comes back to what I say most often. Your brother is not necessarily somebody that looks exactly like you. Absolutely not. Your brother is not the person you share skin tone with. It's a lie, because if you look very carefully, us and us sometimes, very often indeed, we do each other very wrong. And it's very sad. Just look at the case of Africans right now. All these other countries standing against three African brothers who are fighting for freedom. They're trying to protect the interests of the West instead of fighting with their brothers for their general freedom. But obviously, this is motivated by money and greed. Now look at who's coming to their help. The King of Morocco. Yes, Moroccans are Africans, but many people tend to look at them different because the skin tone is a little bit different. Yes, many people tend to look at them different because they speak Arabic. So they tend to push them toward Arab nations. Now, how do you justify this when a brother, supposedly a brother, somebody that looks just like you, closes his door to you, to your people, cuts electricity off of your country, putting people in danger in hospital, people in coma, people that need help, babies in situation that is crucial, disregarding all these lives just to protect the interest of the West. And in the meantime, somebody from Morocco says, you know what, my doors are open. Let's build infrastructure so I can give you access to the sea. What lesson do we learn from this? A massive one. So, top diplomats of Morocco, Burkina Faso, Chad, and Mali, and Niger agreed to boost cooperation at a ministerial coordination meeting held in southern Moroccan city of Marrakesh on Saturday. The meeting focused on an initiative proposed by Moroccan King Mohammed VI earlier in November, who suggested to launch an international initiative to enable the Sahel countries to have access to the Atlantic Ocean. How powerful is that? The king stressed that the success of such initiative hinges on upgrading infrastructure in the Sahel country and seeking to connect its transport and communication network existing in the region. So the king is willing to use his means, to use his tools to enable these countries to bring their stuff and send them to the port, send them to the sea, export. Because other African nations, you can look at the map. On the southern part are all these African nations that are furious against these three countries. They're not happy that they live trying to free themselves.
All member states of ECOWAS present here today have all committed elements. They have committed their own equipment. They have committed their own resources to undertake this mission. So I tell you, we are ready to go anytime the order is given. The D-Day is also decided, which we are not going to disclose.
They don't like it, so they've closed the port. They've closed access to them. They've put them to the side. They've secluded them. They are called the ECOWAS countries. Yes, they look just like them. Very similar faces. Very similar everything. But Morocco has opened its door. Morocco to the north or northwest opened its door to Mali, Burkina Faso, and Chad. And these leaders are very grateful. Listen to them.
L'initiative de Sa Majesté le roi du Maroc a suscité l'intérêt du gouvernement du Mali, qui y voit une manifestation de la solidarité et de la fraternité agissante du Royaume du Maroc à l'endroit de pays frères africains.
Nous avons l'espoir que cette initiative royale offrira de réelles opportunités d'exploitation et de transformation, de commercialisation de nos ressources, l'accélération de la connectivité régionale et des flux commerciaux pour la prospérité partagée du Maroc et des pays du Sahel.
Cette initiative est une alternative qui s'articule parfaitement à l'ambition des États du Sahel de valoriser leurs énormes potentialités en minimisant le poids de l'enclavement à travers une politique d'intégration infrastructurelle efficace et porteuse de croissance. C'est vous dire que nous saluons à sa juste valeur l'offre faite par Sa Majesté le roi Mohamed VI et pour laquelle, avec les autres pays frères du Sahel et sous les éclairages de nos plus hautes autorités, nous travaillerons à son appropriation.
Ça, c'est des facilitations vraiment qualifiées de fraternelles, je dirais de sauvetage, et également, il pourrait faire vraiment l'objet d'un développement futur durable.
The diplomats expressed their gratitude to Morocco's offer to make its road, port, railway infrastructure available to the Sahel countries to strengthen their participation in international trade. So, meanwhile, other Africans are blocking the door to other Africans. Morocco, that's Africa too, but I know you tend to look at them funny because they look a little bit different. I've opened the door, yes, to the people that are supposed to be your brothers. That's why I don't like people calling me brother. Oh, brother. Don't tell, I'm not your brother, okay? I'm going to be your brother when you start showing me brotherhood. Don't call me brother just because no, I'm sorry. I don't play that game. Because there's too much hypocrisy beyond brother. Brother. Act like my brother, then you're my brother. Don't just call me brother for free. I'm not interested in that. Okay? Your brother is not somebody that looks just like you. Absolutely not. Your brother is a person whose heart looks like yours. That's your brother. Somebody ready to sacrifice things in the name of love for you. Morocco has done some tremendous things.
L'initiative royale est la promesse que le Maroc apporte toute son énergie, mobilise tous ses efforts et partage tout son savoir-faire. Il s'agit de soutenir les partenaires du Sahel pour libérer les énormes potentialités de la région et ainsi accélérer la croissance et le développement durable et inclusif des économies de la région.
Okay, they went to Mali. Okay, Moroccan king exalted his people to go to Mali and build an hospital. Morocco is another country. Mali is a different country. They went to Mali to build an hospital. On 7th July 2022, the king of Morocco inaugurated Mohammed VI prenatal clinic in Bamako. Bamako is the capital of Mali. In the effort to reduce high-risk pregnancy and limit maternal and infant mortality by providing infant and premature babies access to prenatal and postnatal services. So he's invested his own money, Morocco's money, to build an hospital in Mali, okay, for babies and infants. The gynecology facility is set to provide numerous services, including intensive care and resuscitation for mothers, neonatal resuscitation, neonatology, while adhering to the latest international standard. So to the highest international standard, they've built an hospital in the name of love of Africans in a neighboring country. That is what I call brotherhood, fellas. Not your nonsense, my brother, while you stabbing each other on the back. We're not interested in that. We want brotherhood of contribution. Brotherhood, we can put money together and lift one of us up. That's brotherhood. Brotherhood or coming together to build something for one of us. That's brotherhood. We're not interested in the brotherhood of gossiping, talking about toxic people, toxic women. That is absolute nonsense. It's not good enough for us. It's not our level. That's stupid level of conversation. Okay? Brotherhood is only in action. It's only in actions. It's not in words. You can only be my brother when you show me that when you act like a brother, not when you talk like I'm your. No, absolutely not. Morocco has done some very, very good things. And we praise them for that. Let's thank them for that. I think it's very necessary. Again, Morocco went through some very difficult time. Just a few months back, they had a terrible earthquake. Terrible earthquake. Taking of many people. I'm not going to use the word. Many people were down. Houses destroyed. Infrastructure touched. And the king did not ask for help coming from other countries. He didn't go beg for help, for mercy, for Europeans to send him help. Okay? Even the French was frustrated. The French, Macron, president of France, was very frustrated because Morocco did not ask for help. And they have a history because they came to colonize Morocco. And the French president dared to say, well, Morocco knows what we can offer. If Morocco needs help, Morocco needs to ask us for help.
Nous avons mobilisé l'ensemble des équipes techniques de sécurité pour pouvoir intervenir quand les autorités du Maroc le jugeront utile.
I just lost many, many people on an earthquake, terrible earthquake. And what you want to say is, if I want help, I need to ask you for help. Well, if you really want to help me, then I shouldn't be asking you for help. I'm sure you can see that I need help. Why don't you just come and help? Why do you want me to beg you for help? Guess what? The king of Morocco did not ask for help. He said he doesn't need help from nobody, especially in those countries. Okay? And what he did was amazing. Provided funding, money for numerous people to rebuild their houses. Absolutely unseen. And a tremendous lesson I hope African presidents learn from this guy. Okay? And again, he's still doing great things. Morocco announced on Monday that almost 1 million disadvantaged families will receive direct monthly assistance for the first time on Thursday. A system unheard of in the kingdom for many years. So they're going to be receiving money if you are going through a tough situation. The kingdom will give you money. Unheard of. This is Africa, fellas. In all, nearly 1 million families are expected to benefit. These targeted families' allowance are part of the vast social reform initiated by King Mohammed VI in 2020. Beneficiaries will receive at least 500 dirham. I'm not sure how much that is. It's amazing, fellas. I mean, the lesson is very clear. Morocco has opened its door while other Africans have closed their door, closed the ports to fellow African countries. Morocco has opened the door to Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. You can now export yourself through Morocco to go to the sea. No more begging for these other small countries. You're acting funny. No more knocking at the door expecting them to be nice to you. You got Morocco. Morocco said we're going to build infrastructure. We're going to come with a game plan so we can upgrade our countries and have great cooperation. Thank you very much. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. Always a good pleasure. Is your brother necessarily somebody that looks like you? Somebody that speaks your language, has your accent and your lingo? Or is your brother somebody that's actually there when you need them? Somebody that defends you when everybody turns their back to you. God bless.
Yes, support our services and our efforts because we'll be supporting ourselves. We need that support. Share that which we have just projected and discuss it and so we can find ourselves morally and physically supporting our brothers and sisters on the continent. And those of us who haven't traveled yet, just make effort right now. Time is a lesson learned. So we have been learning. Now is the time. Infrastructure development. African people, Al-Kubalan, have lots of work to do. We don't have to sit on the street line and everything and just talk. We have work to do. Guidance.
what the world needs today.
Hotter and hotter. Man, you got to know yourself. Know yourself. Can't you see reality?
It's freedom for the human race. That's what the world needs today.
Yes. So the latecomer, you be early, man. Just listen back and share it with your family and your brethren and your sisters, right? Africa development, infrastructure, liberation, emancipation. See? Our elders, them say liberation, repatriation. You see? And somehow, we have followed some other narrative somewhere, and I don't know how that happened and when it happened. Right? So, the repatriation, I don't know what happened, because people them start talk reparation. You see? And that's a must. But then put that like priority. And then we have so much skills and talented people in the diaspora. I will not seek to go to the continent and offer our service, because we know ourselves who we home. So we stay in the other man's country and challenge them for employment. Because we live here. That's natural. But is it real, truly, our sensibility? Is it that we have revolutionary feeling and understanding? And we came up understanding about revolution, repatriation, liberation. We came up with it. And somehow we divert. And our grandparents them and our elders them. Now we hear one of the ancestors' son. And we all can identify and relate with him. Him not say beat down Babylon. Him not say rise up and take your stance, black man and woman. You understand? And this colonial dependency that makes everybody see money and not love and prosperity and unity and the best thing that the Creator has given us is the land. He's given us all of the resources that we need. So which of his favors can we deny? Not one. So what do? We give and let others take our favors. And then we live in poverty. And then we behave worse than rodents. Some people need to go to France, and some people need to go to Holland and really have a good look at what the Boers have done for them, for their people, and for their land, their country. And go to France and see what the French have done and are doing, have done and are doing for their country. And then go to America and look at their bank vaults and see what they have done. And go to all the people that do this internet thing, this information technology, tabulators, computer, phone, and everything. And you see that they are prosperous and we all feel good about it, but it's our resources. So we're not the one that's exporting it. We're not the one that's utilizing it. We're consumers of it. You see? And these are things we need to understand, because none of us would accept someone off the street just come in your house and take what they want to take. And then have the audacity to move in your bedroom. Have the audacity, you know. Think of it like that. Someone just come off the street and just commandeer your dwellings. Huh? And you're grin. You're grin. That means that we are idiot. You understand? Because what would prohibit them from putting us out? What? And that's what these people have done. That's why this African American, another Colin Powell, right, they have used him to try to defame our brothers. Report with nonsense, because AFRICOM is on the continent. They create the most atrocities because they look like us, and then we get the blame for something that none of us have done, only them. And then they will blame it on what? International terrorists and jihadists and everything. You want to see how the thing shift, you know? It shift from Afghanistan, and it shift from Iraq, and it shift to Syria, and it went away, we thought. And then all of a sudden, it shift to the continent. And where them put it, are them alleged being Somalia. And all of a sudden, they're in Mali and everything. Right? So if anybody not understanding, really, it did also shift to Libya. Huh? And then they went quiet. And between Libya and Syria, they were meant to be disbanded and everything. But nobody never here said that America called them, arrest them all, and whoever else supports them and back them. we just hear that they've been dismantled. But next thing, it finished up in Somalia, allegedly finished up in Somalia. Huh? And then we're told that them and Boko Haram and all these jihadis and all kind of thing, and the thorax them. And you have people that impersonate the thorax. Them wear jelly beer, big turban. They're not in the desert, so them have them face wrap up. Cause that's thorax, that's where them go back and forth through the desert. They also live in the desert. But they want to behave like this to think that we don't know our people. So you got people impersonating us because them have melanin skin and them prefer the US dollars. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. But we've come of age and we can recollect all the mistakes and the errors and all the hypocrisy and all the corruption and the taste for European looking images. Yeah, most African so-called ministers, them love the European attire. Then would let the European come kill the crocodiles, carry the skin them back to their place, and make shoe. And then me come now and buy the shoe from them when I did let them have the crocodile skin in the first place. I was stupid. Then we're going to put on them suit and collar and tie. Look like them representing ourselves. What is that? And then our women do the same thing, all of us. And this has been going on for centuries. Serious thing. And we're told what to do, how to do, what to do, and what not to do by them. The same way they have their governor generals in the Caribbean. The difference is in the Caribbean, we sing, we talk Africa. America don't do that. But we do. Because we have listened and understood from our grandparents, our great-great-parents, that we're Africans. Nothing that they made up. We don't see ourselves as Tainos and coolies and everything. Even though we've integrated with them, and them have babies for us, and we have babies for them. We don't turn around and say, listen, we are Taino and we are Carib and everything else. We have respect, but we know our heritage is African. In America, something's gone wrong. Also, to remember not to forget, there was a young man, another one called Andrew Young. He was representing America and us, a foreign, Andrew Young. But we were able to pull him up, straighten him up, and dust him down when we felt that he was crossing the line. So the system have learned. But Colin Powell, he lied. And his morals hurt him. But he wouldn't come out in the public and say, seek forgiveness and expand how he lied. Look how much hundreds and thousands, millions of people have died between him and his deputy, Shortsnust or whatever his name was. Huh? Orchestrated by the Bush and his administration. And now with Palestine, we have that sister, a sit-down in the United Nations, and eloquently veto a genocide in Palestine. But she was representing not her morality, she's representing the United States. And she knew through her morals and her sensibility and her nature as a menelating human being that what she was doing was wrong. But the way she projected herself was to tell the master how good a servant she is. And the tragedy of Palestine was allowed and still is. She didn't get up and resign and walk away. She swallowed her morals. She swallowed her African principles to make her bosses feel that she was so competent. That's sad. It's really sad. But we've grown up seeing that, witnessing that. Now we've got someone called General somebody in the Senate following the line of his master and dribbling and biting his tongue to tell lie. And he knows it, and those of us who was watching knows it too, and his bosses know it. What they're going to be telling him, you've got to be more succinct than that. Because soon from now, we're going to ask you to remove him. Or at least try. You understand? It's a shame. So the songs I played, they were some of the revolutionary hits from our time. Nothing fresh. More than 40-something years. Our elders reasoning among us. And the true inspiration came and rewrote. And in place of instruments were gathered. And that which we wrote, we're able to vocalize. We're not slaves. We're slaves of God. We're not slaves of man anymore. Okay. So those of you who don't like me because me's a Muslim, like yourself. And when you spend your breath trying to find ways of disliking me, like yourself. You understand? Because there's nothing on this earth that you can do not without. You understand? That makes you a Muslim too, whether you know it or not. You understand? Because you depend on nature. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides all that is what we call nature. So there's no favor of God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that any human being on this earth can deny. Try me, and I will give you the first test. Not so harsh, but the first one. Refuse, deny water. Because the easiest one is to deny oxygen. So then there'll be no communication because you would have gone. So we just come easy upon you. Any hard-headed person that want to be definitely ignorant. So I say now, deny water. And then tell me, really? Huh? Deny water. You see? I could have just knocked it out one time by just say, this deny oxygen. You know what I mean? So then we won't have we won't be able to redress to something and come to some rational understanding, right? Because you would have gone. But if you see water, at least you will still be there. And you'll be crying for thirst. And I would ask you, do you still want to deny God? We are deal with. Huh? At your own peril, you want to keep denying? And you're telling me, see, you're thirsty? Keep it up. Let's see how far you can go. And just tell you how much hours gone by. And you cry at the moment. See? And that's the reasoning. Because I'm not going to tell you, say, the most I would tell you is don't bother talk. Because you're just going to make yourself more thirsty. But at the same time, I'm going to ask you how you feel. So you would have to respond if you still have some energy. You understand? And it's not by force. It's by you not wanting to recognize. And you don't have to go to university. You don't have about doctors of art or anything. It's a sense. So simple. You don't have to go to theological school. It's so simple. So simple. Stop fighting it, man. And if you look for a man to be God, then you're stupid again. More stupid than stupid. It can't be more stupid than stupid. Because then what? So use God too? We're vessels of God. Yes, he created us. Not he, God created us. All human beings, black, white, everything. You understand? And you have to step off this black thing. Because most importantly, we're Africans. And we need our pride and dignity back. So if you use the term black in that context, yeah, that's all right. But other than that, then you're behaving just like the opposition. The opposition that trapped us for hundreds of years while them had us in bondage. Yeah? Because we who are in bondage, we are special people, because we survive. We survive everything that them threw upon we, threw upon our grandparents. We survived. And look at us now. We're speaking his language, we're passing his exams, and we're actually working for them and with them, even though they're more superior than us in their social understandings. And that's what they project. Now, because we live among them, it's natural. If we went home, we wouldn't have to be dealing with this. And it's very difficult living among them and blanking them, because them just have a way of mentally intimidating, interrogating us. Yes, they do. Must give him his jacket, man. He's a menace to humanity. And we need to put him in check. And just like the Planet of the Apes, take him to court. Only thing is, the court be administered by us and not by him. So we say, before we keep rambling on and on, guidance is gone. You understand? Yo, Morgan Heritage, woman I said to me, come here.
To liberate your people. Rastaman chant boy. Whoa, chant boy. Feel liberation boy. Whoa, chant boy. Rastaman chant boy. Whoa, chant boy. Feel liberation boy. Whoa, chant boy. Whoa. But Molly rise and gone on them think we it done. Peter Tosh rise and gone on them think we it done. Jacob Miller rise and gone them think we it done. Garnet Silkim rise and gone, but look ya, Morgan family come rise. And many rise to our uprising, Sizzler rise. And many rise to his uprising, Luciano rise. And many rise to his uprising, Rastafari call we so we come. Molly children rise. And many rise to their uprising, Capleton rise. And David Oshu is uprising, would you rise? And many rise to his uprising, Rastafari royal children come with liberation war. Whoa.
See, at that why me play songs around here, because the people them try to kidnap we mind. And them kidnap our youth. Understanding of ourselves and our culture. Now our youth them gone join them. And we're not reggae again, you know. We'll deal with vulgarity, permissiveness, and images, defame our women, like we didn't come from the womb of a woman that became our mother. There's so much things that has been attempted and still are attempted to dislodge this culture that we have developed as African in exile through slavery in the Caribbean and the Brazils. Try nasty us up. So me now, as one of the elders them, through the time and live the time, that's why me play these songs, you know. Because they're my songs, but they're our songs. That filth that they have been advocating and promoting is meant to remove us. A lot of people them don't seem to think that, you know, because them out there and them get on screen and them get a video and then them see themselves on internet and things like that. And all they're doing is sexually arousing peoples everywhere and belittling our women. Once you do that, we finish. Any culture, any people that defame their birth rate, we're finished. And that's what they've attempted to do to us. And we fell for it. The artists them that Peter was just gonna mention, all of them are sellout. Every one of them are sellout. Their whole alphabet sellout. And them thinks that America is the number one thing on earth. If you don't go America and play the American way and do the American thing, you're nobody. America is the capital, as far as them concerned, of the planet. Nasty, filthy-minded people. Yes, they want Grammy. They want hits. But the expense of degrading our females and speaking and talking, they're not singing, speaking and talking, garbage. Sometimes I wonder if them look at what they written these things. I mean, if they've written it and look back at it and then regurgitating it, something really wrong with them. Their morals are gone. That sensitive nature is being gone. Because we're human after all. We have morals. We have understanding. We have vision. We have clarity. So somebody go see shit and decide to play in it. And you're not a pig. Oh my word. Something wrong. Pig does that. Swines. And it's their own waste. And no matter how you wash them off, they're going to do it again and again, consistently, repetitively. Yes, the pig. So you can wash it all you want to wash it. And it will stay there and allow you to do it. And then make you look like a fool because them go into mud and shit again and dirty themselves up. And then you have to figure out what is wrong with this animal. And it's the only one that behaves like that, you know. It's like it tells you, to hell with you, leave me alone. You understand? Right? But they don't say nothing. Them stay cool. And hey yo, if you been on a farm, or your grandparents them had pig, and you spray them one side, them gear the other side, you know. Or them stand up. So you can do the whole of them, you know. But you know what we don't realize is that the water feel good. The water feel good, man. See, you massage the body of the pig. The pig not stupid. The pig not stupid. It is saying, my nature is this, you know. So what you try to interfere with? But anyway, give thanks. Keep washing me. Huh? Yeah, the pig. I don't know. I just say that because me come of age, me can analyze. Say what now. I gone, we gone. Guidance. Share the thing with other people. Don't keep it to yourself. That becomes selfish and everything. And if you think that me step over the border and everything, yo, just chat me, text me. You understand? It did it. It free. It not gonna cost you nothing. But if you can't write, which is not the case, right, and so forth, just text me and I say, yo, here what? A bullshit your chat. You're off key. Yeah? Leave Buju and and leave Beanie and all of them alone. You understand? And so forth and so forth. And Spice and whoever not, you know? Rice and Spice. Dog and mouse. Yeah. You understand? And give thanks and praise for Leroy Sibbles and, yeah, the Tamlins and the Morwells. Yeah? Listen here. We have too much, man. You have too much. So guidance.